Hello, fam. Have you ever read a headline or seen a tweet or a Facebook post and were immediately outraged? Your moral sensibilities cut to the quick. Oh my God, how could they say or do that thing? Outrageous. So, being the keyboard warrior that you are, you immediately repost and pour all of your indignation in your comment. Well, you may have just fallen victim to some loaded language. Sometimes, in these situations, it is the loaded language that got you fired up, possibly even more so than the content of the post itself. Nearly every headline and blog post title that you read contains some loaded language. So, what is it exactly? Loaded language is rhetoric which is used to influence an audience by using words and phrases with strong connotations in order to invoke an emotional response and push the reader to a preferred conclusion, opinion, or position. This loaded language can exploit stereotypes, tragedy, offensive ideas, and it will employ the nuances of words to communicate more than the superficial meaning of the words which are being used. Take a look at these words, for example. Note how the first two, shooter and suspected shooter, are neutral. They are fact-based, not particularly emotive, and most importantly, they do not imply any conclusions or positions. Depending on when the post or article was written, suspected shooter is potentially the most legally correct phrasing, but both are clear and factual. Now, look at the next word, killer. While it is still fact-based, it is more negative in tone and connotation. It is a much more emotive word choice because it draws upon our empathy and outrage. It draws on the subtext of what we understand by the word killer and what kind of person is a killer. We even make subtle distinctions between someone who has killed, like a soldier or police officer, and someone who is a killer, by which we typically mean a criminal or someone, while killing for legal or legitimate reasons, like a soldier, actually enjoys the violence. A killer is not a good person. Now, look at this last group: hero, vigilante, and murderer. They are all pushing towards different opinions and conclusions, but they are all highly emotive terms that strongly direct the reader toward a preferred position. Heroes are celebrated. Vigilantes are taking criminal actions, but are often idealized in fiction, like with superheroes. So they are viewed as heroic of a sort and misguided but well-intentioned. Murderers are, of course, pure criminals. Note also how intent is inherent in all of these words. There is a significant difference between killing someone and murdering them. And that difference is intent or motive. It is not going to surprise some of you that all of these words have been taken from actual stories about a real individual. That individual is Kyle Rittenhouse. If you lived through 2020, you almost certainly have just had an emotional reaction, and you very probably strongly agree with the implied position of one or more of the loaded words which I put up here, which is fine, of course. We're all going to have strong emotions about an event like that. But this is an example of how news and information sources can insert biases in more subtle ways than spotlighting or suppressing information. Look at a variety of articles about the same story from different sources. Look at the language they are using and how the people in those stories are portrayed. Was he a terrorist or a militia member? Was he a nice young man or a thug? Was she a whistleblower or a disgruntled former employee? Think about what these different characterizations do. Look at the articles and posts that you read from your favorite sources. Are they using loaded language? How is that coloring the information that they are representing? Is that pushing you towards certain conclusions or positions? Filtering out these kinds of biases can be difficult, but it is a critical part of making sure that the beliefs that we hold are on the most sound footing possible, and that they are based more in fact and less in ideology. You should favor sources that use less loaded language and more neutral language. Just the facts, as they say. There is no way I can cover a topic like this completely in a single YouTube video. So go read more about loaded language, find out about how it affects the information we get and how it colors our positions. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Be safe and be kind to one another.